Jai Hind to everyone. Today I am going to discuss about the topic XML schema. Basically, it is the subject of web technology and it is the part of Unit 2. So now I am going to discuss about the XML schema. Now, first of all, what is the XML schema? We all know about the XML file. In the XML file, we can define the user-defined tags. And when there are many XML files, different type of user-defined tags, so it becomes very difficult to process the XML file. So what we need, we need a structure by which we can define the name of the element that we are going to include in the XML file, what type of content will be in the XML file. So define a standard, define a structure, we need something. So XML schema is used to define that structure by which XML file will be in the structure format and it can be processed by any software and anyone can understand it. So if two parties want to exchange the data with the help of XML file, they need to define the XML schema. With the help of XML schema, they can exchange the data. Now, basically the job of schema is to specify the structure and it must adhere to the content of each element of. So if you are sending an XML file and if you are looking that XML file is not as per the XML schema, then XML file will be invalid. So whenever we are going to process the XML file, first it will match to the XML schema. If it is the part of XML schema, it is aligned with the XML schema, then the XML file can be processed. Now XML schema definition. So we need to develop a separate file for the XML schema and extension of that file is .xst. Now suppose this is the XML file node.xml and we are going to define the XML schema for this file. Now this file has a root node and some element to, from and heading and body. So with the help of this XML file, I want to validate this XML file. So we need to define the XML schema for this XML file. So look for XML schema. So we have defined the XML schema for node.xml. This is the XML schema. Basically, XML schema is also a type of XML file. So it will start from XML. To start a schema, first you have to write the schema here. Then you have to specify the namespace. So this is the reference string for the namespace. So to refer this namespace, or you can say element and content from this namespace, we have given a name for this namespace, it is access. So in the further programming of this file, we will use access to denote that whatever the content we are going to use, it is referring to this namespace. So first of all, we have to define the root node. So root node is an element is written and name of this element is node. Now within this node, we have 4 elements, to, from, heading and body. You can see the XML schema. We have node, to, from, heading and body. Similarly, in the schema, we have defined 4 elements, to, from, heading and body. Now next part is what will be the content of 2 elements. It can be a string, it can be a boolean, any different type. Here we have defined the name of this 2 element name is 2 and content of this element will be of type string. Similarly, we have given the type of from element as a string, type of heading element as a string, type of body element as string. So we have defined 4 elements and the content of that element will be of type string. So here we have defined root element node. Within the root element, we have 4 elements, 2 from, heading and body. Now important is, node element consists of 4 elements, 2 from, heading and body. So we call node as a complex type element. Here you can see in the XML file, node has 4 elements, 2 from, heading and body. So we call in XML schema node as a complex element. So we have defined XML schema as a complex element. Now second important part is, 2 from, heading and body must be in the sequence. So we have defined the sequence here. So first 2 element will come, then from, then heading and then body. So you have to define the sequence for all these elements also. End of the sequence, end of the complex type, end of the element and end of the schema. Now we have 2 files. The first file is this one. This is the XML file and name of this XML file is node.xml. To validate this XML file, we have defined a schema. This is the schema file. And now we want to include this schema file in the XML file. So here you can see, this is the way we are going to include XSD file, that is XML schema file, in the XML file. So this is the XML file, it is node.xml, and in the node root element, we have included XML namespace of this reference. Basically, this XML file is the instance of this schema. So we have given its reference is XSI, XML schema instance, and we are referring this reference string. Now XML namespace is defined. Next job is to find out, to give the information about the XSD file, which is given with the attribute schema location. Schema location node.xsd. We assume node.xsd is it in the current folder. Next you can define 2, from, body, heading and body, and we have given the information. When you run this file, it will map your content with the node.xsd. If mapping is okay, so it is a valid XML. If mapping is not okay, then it is a invalid XML. Mapping is not okay, meaning is you are using different name to TO instead of any other spelling, any other word. You are using from here, but in the XML schema you also define the from, then it is valid. And here you are using from 1, then it is not valid. So when you define the XML schema, it will match your element, whatever you are writing here must be available in the node.xsd. If it is not available, then your XML file is not valid. Otherwise, if it is matching with the node.xsd, then XML file is valid. Now you can understand the power of XML schema. It will make your file compatible with all different users. When all the different users know the schema, they will write the XML file according to the schema that can easily interpret and that can easily processed by any software. In my earlier lecture, we discussed about DTD. DTD is basically, or you can say, is similar to the XML schema, but XML schema is our advanced version of DTD. Just for reference point of view, for the same XML file, if you want to write the DTD, this is the format. So you have to write the element node, 2 from, heading, body. Then you define 2 from, heading, body, and 2 is defined as a hash PC data that is pass character data. So here you can see it is easy to writing, but it has a very limited approach, limited flexibility to writing the schema for the XML file. But if you are using the XML schema, it has a wide variety, it is more advanced version, and you can include whatever different types you want to include in the element. Next, there is 2 types of element in XML schema, complex type and simple type. we must know what is the complex type element, what is the simple type element. So, if any element contains other elements, then it is called the complex type. So, node is the element which contains other element. Other elements are 2 from heading and body. So, we call as a node as a complex type. But 2 is a simple type. It is a simple type. It is a simple type. It is a simple type. And heading is also a simple type because it do not contain any other element. So, if any element that do not contain any other element, then we call as a simple type. So, simple type is the element which does not contain any other element. Complex type element which contains many other elements. Now, if you want to include DTD in the XML file, this is the approach we are using. Doc type, name of the root element, system and node.dtd. I have given a separate lecture on the DTD. So, this video is only dedicated for the XML schema. If you want to go for detail of the DTD, then you can refer my another video which is related to DTD. So, in case of XML, you want to include the XML schema in the XML, then we have to follow this approach to include the XML schema in the XML. We need to create the instance of this reference, then specify the name of the XSD file that will be the part of this XML file. Now, if you make a comparison between DTD and XML schema, then there are many limitations of the DTD. Like DTD do not have built-in data types, DTD do not support user-derived data types, DTD allow only limited control over cardinality, DTDs do not support the namespace or any simple way of reusing or importing the other schema. These are the limitations. These limitations are removed in the XML schema. In XML schema, we have built-in data types also, we have user-defined data types also, and we can have many flexibility to define the schema for the any XML file. Now, look for another example. It is an XSD file. Name of the XSD file is author. Now, again I am repeating, XSD file is also a type of XML file. So, we start from the XML. Then we have written the schema. And in the schema, we are referring this string w3org. It is the string that need to refer to inform that browser where the element that we are going to use like sequence complex type is referring to this reference string, that is w3org. So, we have created this access is the reference point that will access this reference string. So, all the element will be accessed through the access reference string that you have given. You can change its name. If it is Excel, then you can put Excel here. If it is XM, then you can put XM here. You can use MI, then it is MI here. So, this part is also user defined. You can define any name. It is like just like an alias for the reference that you are accessing in the XML file. Now, in this schema, we have defined a root element. Root element is author. So, it is a complex type because in the author element, we are going to include two more elements. One is first name, second is last name. Then I want to put the sequence, that is first name should come first, then last name should come first. After the first name, then we have defined the sequence. So, it is a element name first name and type is defined as a string. Then again the element last name, time is defined as a string. So, this is the XSD file, very simple XSD file. We have the root element author and there is only two elements is defined, first name and last name. So, this XSD file has one complex element, name of the complex element author, and there is a two simple element, name of the simple element are first name and last name. Now, we want to include this XSD file into a XML file. So, this is the XML file. It is again start from the XML version 1.0. It is denote that it is an XML file and author is the root element within the root element you have to include name of the XSD file. Name of the XSD file is author.xsd. So here we are using reference point because XML basically the instance of the XML schema. So we are creating the we are referring the instance reference. So we have created a variable XSI. It is just like a reference variable for this reference string. After that we are using the XSI. So with the help of XSI, we have defined the name of the XSD. Then we have given the first name and last name. Here you can see it is a author is the name of the file, name of the root element. Root element we have included author.xsd, and in this author element we have defined two elements, first name and last name, and given the name of the first and last name, Mark and Twain. So just again I will to just refer again. So it is an XSD file. You can see it is an XSD file and it is an XML file that included the XSD file. Now just for knowledge, what is the schema? Schema, it is an element that is defined the root element of XML schema. So basically it is the root element of XML schema. Then you have to define the some namespace. Namespace is mentioned, and you can also give the target namespace. So there are many other attributes that you can define under the schema. A little bit explanation. XML NS is define the namespace reference string. It indicates that the elements and data types used in the schema come from this reference namespace. So whenever you are referring this reference string is its element data, then you have to prefix something. So here we have prefixed the access. You can give any other name. So any element and data is coming from this reference will be referred by the string access. Now you can give the target namespace. It indicates that elements defined by this schema like node, to, from, heading, body come from this target namespace. Here you can give any website name, any company website name. It is tutoriallearn.com, or it is only an example. No need to give this website name again and again. It is just an example. Then if you are not specify the variable, this is the default namespace. So here you can define the namespace. Here you can define the target namespace as well as you can define the default namespace. So you can define all three: namespace, target namespace and default namespace. What is the simple element? Again repeating it. Simple element is an XML element that can contain only the text. It cannot contain any other element or the attributes. And now text can be of many different types. It can be Boolean, it can be string, date, and its. You can put the restriction, which is called facets, that can be added to a data type in order to limit the content, or you can require data to match a specified pattern. Simple element can be defined with the help of syntax is write the element, then name of the element, then type. These are the different types of content that can be included in the element. It can be string, it can be decimal, integer, Boolean, date and time. Some of the example: last name, this is the content, age, date, you can mention the date also. And for the last name we have defined string, for the age we have defined integer, and for the date we have defined the date here. You can fix the value, you can give the default value with the help of default, as well as you can fix the value also. You can also define the attributes. You know, every element has the attributes. Like an HTML has the attributes, similarly XML file can also has the attributes. So you can define the user-defined attributes with the help of attribute element. So this is the attribute element that you can define. Just give the name of the attribute and type of the element where the attribute will be defined. As in the element content, we can also have the type of the attribute content. Like attribute content can be string, decimal, integer, boolean, date and time. Similarly, in the element, you can define the default value for the attribute and you can fix the value for the attribute. If the value is fixed, it cannot be changed, and if you have not given any value, then default value will be considered. Sometime we need to give the required attribute. By default, the attributes are optional. Now, if you to make the attribute mandatory, then use the use and use the required. In that case, the attribute becomes the mandatory. Meaning is you must give the some value for this attribute language, that is lang. So far I discussed about XML schema. It is the starting lecture. It is a basic lecture to understand what is the XML schema and what is the importance of XML schema. When you include the XML schema in XML file, then XML file become a valid XML file that can be processed by many different software and can be easily interpreted by the many different users. Thank you very much. Thank you.